For over 3 decades, India faced continuous state-sponsored terror attacks. Proxy organizations operating across the border targeted civilian centers and strategic military sites alike, executing mass casualty events ranging from the Mumbai attacks in 2008 to the Pulwama suicide bombing in 2019. Look at this diagram. It illustrates the geopolitical trap known as nuclear blackmail. For years, proxy groups launched terror strikes under the protective umbrella of a nuclear threat. The aggressor relied on this deterrent to force India into continuous strategic restraint and prevent a conventional military retaliation. Then came April 22, 2025. Heavily armed militants executed a calculated assault in Pahalgam. The localized strike was designed to destabilize the region and disrupt the returning peace and economic development in Jammu and Kashmir. In previous decades, India relied on diplomatic pressure, shared evidence with the global community, or conducted isolated surgical strikes. But those methods left the deeper terror infrastructure intact, allowing proxy groups to regroup and strike again. The situation required a strategy that moved beyond these isolated reactions. High-level leadership and Indian Defense Forces initiated Operation Sindoor, an integrated, multi-domain response designed to target entire networks rather than individual cells. At the core of Operation Sindoor is the escalation matrix. Rather than risking an uncontainable war or falling back on restraint, the military mapped out a calibrated ladder of conflict. Each step was strictly controlled to dismantle terrorist networks and punish the adversary without causing unnecessary civilian casualties. The operation started before a single kinetic weapon was fired. India deployed offensive cyber assets to silently infiltrate and monitor the adversary's critical defense systems in real time. Simultaneously, the Indian Space Research Organization repositioned its space-based assets. This locked in continuous, high-resolution visual feeds over precise areas where terror groups operated. Inside the Joint Operations Control Center, commanders synthesized this data. From a massive list of potential terror camps, they isolated 9 specific high-value targets. This initial phase established situational awareness across the digital and physical landscape. By mapping the adversary's systems and blind spots, Indian forces ensured the physical strikes to follow would be directed with surgical precision. At exactly 0105 hours, the kinetic phase began. In a rapid 22-minute window, precision strikes leveled all 9 identified targets across the border. The intensity of the strike was strictly capped to eliminate terror infrastructure with 0 civilian casualties. At the exact same time, the Indian Navy pre-deployed its stealth submarines and carrier battle group to lock down the Arabian Sea and the Makran coast. This map demonstrates the dual-pronged pressure Karang 2. While the Air Force delivered undeniable physical damage in the north, an overwhelming naval blockade in the south severed maritime options, effectively freezing the adversary's fleet in port. Disoriented by the precision hits, the adversary reacted erratically. They initiated uncoordinated cross-border firing at military and civilian populations and pushed infiltration drones into Indian airspace. India's integrated air defense grid and counter-unmanned aerial systems easily absorbed the attack, tracking and destroying the incoming drones from Kashmir all the way down to Gujarat. Amid this chaos, Indian intelligence agencies secured a critical intercept. The adversary was actively prepping full-scale retaliatory offensives, codenamed Operation Bunyan and Narcissus. India escalated preemptively using advanced indigenous weapons, targeting enemy early warning radars. This created resistance-free corridors, allowing Indian aircraft to push deep into enemy airspace and destroy their fighter jets on the ground. To lock down the area, the S-400 air defense system tracked and neutralized enemy aircraft at ranges exceeding 300 kilometers, paralyzing their remaining fighter fleets. Controlling an escalation matrix requires outmatching the opponent at every stage. By systematically eliminating radars, command nodes, and strike aircraft, India stripped the adversary of the physical capacity to counterattack. With their air defenses paralyzed and strike aircraft destroyed on the ground, the adversary's planned counteroffensives collapsed before they could begin. Blown and blinded by the systematic removal of their radars, the leadership requested a cessation of hostilities on May 10th. Operation Sindoor proved the viability of multi-domain warfare. Traditional land, air, and sea capabilities operated in tandem with deep space observation and offensive cyber networks. This operation demonstrated that the nuclear shield no longer provided immunity for proxy groups. By climbing the escalation ladder with speed, India showed it could inflict decisive damage without triggering the full-scale conflict the adversary once relied upon as a deterrent. India demonstrated it has the intelligence to isolate threats and the combined military strength to erase them. The doctrine of continuous strategic restraint has been replaced by calculated, proportional, and proactive dominance on its